Early childhood educators are in an ideal position to work in partnership with families to support children's mental health and well-being. In these partnerships, you would encourage open communication where people are valued for their unique perspectives and contributions. And remember, positive partnerships are built on relationships and are a known protective factor for children's mental health and well-being.
What I think of when you use the term partnership is a relationship that has certain characteristics. There's mutual respect, there's clarity and appreciation of each other's strengths. I think it's a relationship that requires a lot of ongoing communication. Partnership also requires agreement about the purpose of the partnership or about goals. And I think partnership also involves acknowledging that there will inevitably be tensions and conflicts and a commitment to work through those.
Partnerships are something that happen not just once, but happen over multiple encounters and daily opportunities to build that thing called partnership. Educators set the tone for a respectful partnership. They begin and demonstrate in their efforts to get to know families in various ways their commitment to the nature of a respectful partnership.
The partnership that you have between a family and an early childhood setting is really critical for wrapping around a child in their growth and development. And it's one of the things that if you can promote that from the beginning of a child's contact in that early childhood setting, it's going to really foster a child's feeling of being secure and being cared for and providing them with that foundation for growth.
When children can witness their family and their educators laughing together, being relaxed together, enjoying each other's company, that really does help build the child's sense of security and helps build a relationship between the child and the educator.
Things that I think develop positive relationships between educators and parents are things like trust. If you don't trust the educators to provide the services to your children's needs, then it's not going to work. And the trust needs to go both ways. So we need to communicate as to what is happening and be on the same page. So there's always a smooth transition between at home and at the service.
I love getting their day books, which is photos of interactions that the children have had with each other and with the carers. They send us pictures, they send us emails, they've got their website, they've got their newsletters. You go home and you can see on your email that there's a day book, and it's just such a beautiful feeling to see your kids happy.
There are, different levels of relationship that you will have with different families as well, and I think that goes from simply just having at a very basic level, a simple relationship where you know who each other is and you say hello in the morning or the afternoon, to a relationship that is maybe more an information sharing relationship, to relationships where people might be more participating in decision making, to some relationships where it is really a very shared process and it doesn't necessarily feel like anyone is in charge. It is a really collaborative process of decision making.
When you know families really, really well, you can actually tell that they're really welcome in your environment. They're really forthcoming with interacting, giving you suggestions and ideas and really becoming engaged and involved in your program.
We need to approach relationships with respect, and we need to be honourable and honest. And I think when there are things that arise that are difficult, it's much easier to have a conversation. If there are troubling things that occur in that family, or if a child presents with troubling behaviour and you're worried about that child's mental health or you're worried about that child's safety or health and well-being, you can raise that much more easily with parents if you're in a relationship with them and they trust you and you trust them.
I think when you respect families, you appreciate how vulnerable they are. They're vulnerable in the sense that they're bringing their most precious thing in their life for you to be responsible for big periods of the day, Or if there starts to be a problem with their child at the centre, then they're very vulnerable there too. And so I think that really what supports them to feel welcome and at ease is that there's transparency of communication between them and the educator.
Sometimes it's not about finding solutions, it's just about offering an opportunity to have the exchange. And a partnership does mean an exchange of equals, rather than someone who's coming and saying, I'm the expert educator, I know what you should do, you should listen to me. We're reversing that idea to say a partnership is about a respectful relationship of equals where we make shared decisions, where we listen carefully to each other in the best interests of children and their families.
The partnership between the families and the educators, it helps the educators to show their best initiatives in their work as well, because when you're in partnership, you accept each other, you trust each other, you have a commitment to each other, and so your communication with each other can be more direct. The educators feel like they're not dismissed by the families, that they're valued, that they have a special place in the children's hearts.
So I think that if we can establish really good, healthy relationships between parents and early childhood centres in those early years, then my goodness, we're going to have a fabulous nation, because we're just going to have these kids that have grown up feeling valued, loved, nurtured, not just by their parents, but by services as well.